Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to show you every option available for your Redmi or Xiaomi router through the management interface. So there's a lot to talk about and I'm going to make my best to help you understand each and every setting available. Obviously, to get started, you need to have a recent Xiaomi or Redmi router, such as most of those ones shown on the website xiaomi-me.com, and it needs to run a recent OS, as I'm going to show you the settings through my recent Xiaomi AX1800 router. As always, if this video is helpful to you, don't forget to support the channel by subscribing. So let's get into it. First, you need to go on a device connected to a Xiaomi or Redmi router through Ethernet or Wi-Fi. That could be a laptop, desktop, or even a smartphone. Here I use my laptop that is connected through Ethernet to my AX1800 router. Then you're going to go on your browser, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, whatever. And you're going to type 192.168.31.1 to access the management interface of your router. Here you have to type the administration password of your router. Quick reminder that this is probably the same password as your Wi-Fi password if you choose the option at the first setup of your router, as I did on my review videos. If you don't remember your administration password, there is no option to change it, so you may have to reset your router. Then you're going to click the arrow to connect. On the home page, you're going to find multiple info about your router. First, on the top left, we have the number of devices connected to the router, that is 7. Then we have the name of the router, and then we have the download speed for this connection, so that is 845 megabit per second. Then we have more info about the 2.4 GHz band, so we have the SSID, we have the Wi-Fi password if you click the I, and we have the number of devices connected to the 2.4 GHz band, 4. That is the same for the 5 GHz band. And if you click one of those blue buttons, you're gonna add to the Wi-Fi settings for those bands. Then we have the name of the router, so that is an AX1800. And we have the OS version, so that is 1.0.336. We have the MAC address and the serial number. If you click the number of devices connected to the router, you can find more info about them. So first we have the devices connected through Ethernet. Then we have the devices connected to the 2.4 GHz band, and then the devices connected to the 5 GHz band. We also have the IP addresses for those devices and the MAC addresses. And if you want to stop the connection for one of those devices, you can click on the blue button. You can find more information about your global connection by clicking the network icon. So you can see that your modem is running DHCP, that the router address over the connection is this one, that the DNS IP is this one, and the gateway IP is this one. Also, you can make a global speed test by clicking the blue button. So now we can add to the Wi-Fi settings by clicking onto one of those two blue buttons. So on top of the page, you can find an option to aggregate the 2.4 and 5 GHz band network into just one. Then we have the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi settings. So you first have an option to enable or disable this Wi-Fi. Then you can change the Wi-Fi SSID if you want. Then you have an option to hide the network or not. Then you have the Wi-Fi protected access version, so you can choose WPA3, WPA2 or both. Then you can change your password if you want. Then you have the channel number going from 1 to 13. Then we have the bandwidth rate, so you can leave it as auto like me or choose 20 MHz or 40 MHz. And finally, we have the signal strengths going from strong signal to medium to low. And you can apply those settings for the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi with this blue button. We have the same option for the 5 GHz Wi-Fi. We just have some new channel number going from 36 to 165 and a new bandwidth rate with 80 MHz. And finally, we have two options. The first one over here is to disable Wi-Fi 6. And the second option is to enable or disable multi-user MIMO for better simultaneous connections to the Wi-Fi. So now we can go to the second page by clicking this purple button. So on this page, we have some more technical info about the router, such as addresses or DNS. Going a bit down, we have the internet settings. So you can choose to use DHCP point-to-point protocol or static IP. And you can check the first option if you want to use automatic DNS coming from a modem or manual DNS for your router. So you can type one DNS or two and apply it with the blue button. Then we have the WAN bandwidth rate. So you can choose auto or a gigabit per second or 100 megabit per second. Then you have the router MAC address. So you can choose to clone it or restore it. Then you can change the mode of your router. So you can go from wire access point mode to wireless access point mode if you want. And then you have the IPv6 option, so you can choose to check it or not. And you have native, NAT6 or static IPv6. And just like before, you can choose automatic DNS or manual DNS and type your DNS and apply it with the blue button. So now we can access another page by clicking this green button. So on this page, we have some more options, starting with the parental control. That's the first option. So we can choose to blacklist devices or whitelist devices. And then we can access the list of devices connected to the router by clicking this button. And then you can see that there are all the devices connected to your router. So you can choose to blacklist them or whitelist them by clicking the checkbox. And then you can apply with the blue button. Or you can add manually a device by typing the name and the MAC address of the device. Then you can apply. Going a bit down, you have an option to change your administration password. So you just have to type your old administration password, your new administration password, and retype the new administration password. And going a bit down, you have an option to whitelist the device that can connect to the administration interface. So you can choose to add MAC addresses by clicking this blue button, and that's it. So now we can go on to another page by clicking this red button. So on this page we have the DHCP settings. So first you can change the range of IP addresses your device is gonna get when connecting to this router by changing the values. So they go from 5 to 254. And then you can change the IP address lease time, so that's 720 seconds, and then you can apply with the blue button. And finally, you can change the first IP address your router is gonna get for the network. We can then go onto the information page by clicking this orange button. So on this page, you first have an option to upgrade your router. So if you have an update available for your router, there's going to be a blue button. So you can click it to update your device, or you can choose to manually update your device by clicking this white button. So you can then choose the file to update your device. Then you have an option to upload logs. So I don't really know if they upload logs to the Xiaomi servers or onto the router. So I would leave this option just like it. And then you have an option to reset your router. So you can click the blue button to reset your router. Then you have an option to back up your configuration for this router. So you can get a backup by clicking this button. And you can apply a backup by clicking this button. Finally, we have the option to change the time zone for your router. So there are multiple time zones, so you can choose the one for your country. Then there's an option to set the time for your router. So you can manually set the time or click the white button to get the time from your computer or smartphone and apply it with the blue button. So now we can go on to the more advanced options. So we click this top button. And then we are on a page where we can set the speed limit for the connection. So we click this white button. and we can set an upload speed limit and a download speed limit in megabit per second. And finally, there is an option for quality of service. So if you want to limit the speed for services such as Windows updates, streaming, or gaming, you can do this. We can add to another page by clicking this green button. So on this page, we can set static IP addresses for all the devices connected to the router at this time. So we just click the blue button and we can see the IP addresses and the MAC addresses of any device connected to the router. We can then access the dynamic DNS page by clicking this red button. So on this page, you can set up the DNS so you can get access to services from your local network outside your local network. We can then access yet another page by clicking this orange button on the top. So on this page, you have the forwarding rules. So you can first set port forwarding rules by clicking this white button. And then you have the range forwarding rules by clicking this other white button. And you can apply with the blue button as always. And you can also set up a dematerialized zone by clicking this button. Going on to the next page, you can get access to the VPN setup by clicking this purple button. So there you can connect your router to a VPN by clicking this white button. Here you can use your credentials to connect your router to the VPN. Going a bit down, we have one option to connect some services to the VPN, so you can select them or add them with this button. Or you can use the second option here if you want to connect only some devices to the VPN, so you can select them with this button. Or you can use the second button if you want to manually enter the MAC address of the device. And finally, we have an option to remotely access the management interface through the VPN, so you can check this one if you want. Finally, to get access to the last page of the Redmi/Xiaomi OS, you can click this button up there. And on this page, you can find the UPnP function that stands for Universal Plug and Play. So you can choose to enable it or disable it. And here you can find all the devices that use UPnP through the network. And as you can see, there is a last option up there with the mesh word. So this option is to set up a mesh network between Xiaomi and Redmi routers. I will show you how to do this in the next video. And to conclude, we have this menu. So the first option is to change the router name. The second option is to go to the router upgrade page. The third option is to access download links for the My Wi-Fi app. The fourth option is to reboot your router, and the last option is to log out from the administration interface. So there you have it. I show you every option available for your Redmi and Xiaomi router. I really hope you enjoyed this video as it took me quite a long time to make, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to support this channel. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.